1. Hello, everyone, and welcome into Yelling from the Couch. I'm Brent Humphreys. He is Joey Mullins, and we are here for the Week 14 college football pick'ems. Man, this is what they used to call rivalry week. They may still call it rivalry week. There's not as many rivalry games, and there's some rivalry games coming back with the way the conference realignment and everything is. Joey, man, how we doing? It's Black Friday. We had Thanksgiving yesterday. A good slate of NFL games, actually. Some questionable calls there, questionable decisions by certain teams. How you doing, man? College basketball's going on. I mean, we got it all this week. It is definitely feast week.
Oh man, I've been feasting on some good food, feasting on some college basketball, getting ready to feast on some football today. Had some football yesterday. Nothing's better, man, this time of the year. Ready to go, son. Ready. Love Feast Week. It's my favorite time of the year. Love it.
Me too, man. And I can't wait. This like today, tomorrow, yesterday, Sunday.
Yes.
Just football, just overload football, basketball, all of it. NBA, college, NFL, college. I mean, it is just,
NBA Cup.
right after another
NBA Cup. We got
NBA
it all.
Cup. I mean, then you got, an NFL game today, the Black Friday game. I mean, it's just like, just keep giving us stuff over and over and over again. It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
I would say it's a little too much, but it's not. It's not a little too
No.
much. It is just enough.
No.
And
Never enough.
you get
Never enough sports. Never enough sports, man.
no, you get stuffed on turkey, and then you can get stuffed on all these games coming up, man. And we're going to be here to pick them. And man, last week, North Carolina. We'll start off there.
Oh boy.
Let's get into Carolina football here as Boston College defeated North Carolina last week. Joey, man, we neither one of us saw that coming for real.
I did not see it coming. Well, I can't say I didn't see it coming because with the way Carolina's been playing this year, I can kind of see anything coming with them, no matter who they play. Um, yeah, I mean, we're bowl eligible, but Mac Brown's out after this year. Uh,
Yep.
he's gonna continue to coach the rest of the year, but I think it needed to be done.
Yeah.
It's time for a change. Yeah, we got to get something else going.
Mike Brown, he's in his 70s, I believe. He kind of brought him back a little bit to where they were respectable. But this year and the downfall from last year just
Yeah,
wasn't good. And like you said, it's time for a change there. Be interesting to see who they go out and get. But yeah, it's he had a couple stints there. Time for him to ride off into the sunset and go back to maybe studio stuff with ESPN like he was before he was with Carolina.
yeah,
We'll see.
yeah. I agree. I got nothing against Mac Brown. I mean, he's
Yeah.
great. Great guy. What I've just known of him on TV. I don't know him personally, obviously, but uh, not a bad coach. It's just it's his time. His time's up. So
Yeah. And every coach comes to that point. And speaking
yeah,
of, Kentucky last week goes down to Austin, and they fall, but they covered that spread. We both said they would cover the spread. They
yep,
covered the spread. They started Brock
yeah,
Vandergriff, and in the second half, they brought in freshman Cutter Bowley. And Cutter Bowley, man, I mean, I'm not saying he was great. He by no means was great, but I thought he looked better than Brock. I thought that you know, he had some swagger to him. He was throwing the ball down the field. He was jumping around, like hyped up, ready to play, like wanting to be there in that big moment. And Kentucky comes out and they name him starter for this week, which I think is a sign that once he's starter for this week, he's probably going to start next season at Kentucky. And that means Brock Vandegrift is probably out. Uh, it remains to be seen whether Stoops is going to stay or not, because this could be like a John Calipari situation where the fans are kind of like, man, you've
mhm,
kind of had a down year. You've kind of been down the last few years. We may need to change as well. But the only way that we're going to get rid of Stoops is if he leaves on his own, kind of like how Calipari did. The buyout's too high. Kentucky's not going to pay for a buyout. Um, but
yeah,
I, I'm kind of split on whether I want Stoops to stay or not. I think he's done really good for Kentucky, but at the same time, the last few years have not been good. I mean, they made bowls. This is the first year they haven't made a bowl. So, I mean, maybe you give the guy another shot, but he's got to change some stuff. You got to change some personnel, coaching wise. Start with maybe getting an offensive line to block for these quarterbacks. Vandergriff may have looked better if he had an offensive line. I don't know, but you definitely have to start up front and go out into the portal and pay some of these linemen to come and block for you. That Kentucky used to pride themselves on having the big blue wall, and it just hasn't been there the last few seasons.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And the Steelers have contacted, or North Carolina has contacted the Steelers offensive coordinator. I guess about the
Arthur Smith.
Yeah, he used to go. That's his alma mater. So, hey, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I just hope they get somebody that, is going to come in, fresh start, um, set down some, guidelines, and let's go. Let's win some football games.
Here you go. Your college team's going to be poaching off of Gage's NFL team right here, taking his OC.
Sorry,
And
Gage.
he was a decent coach in Atlanta, because he was the head coach at Atlanta before he went to Pittsburgh, and that offense has looked decent with him this year. I mean, he's made him look okay. I mean, serviceable. So with that talent he's got there, so maybe it would be a good sign for him to come and coach Carolina. Oh,
We'll see.
We'll see. Last week, Joey, on our picks, week 13, I went 14-7 on my picks. You went 14-7. So we both 14-7 last week. Our record total, mine's 194-54, and you're 184-64. So,
not too shabby.
we're still 14-7 seems like a down week for us, but I mean 14-7 is still well above 500. So pretty good little run there last week, even though we missed 7 of them. I mean, there was several. The craziest game last week, man, was BYU Arizona State. How crazy was that game?
Look, crazy. Oh,
1 second
man.
left.
I went back and watched the
crowd.
inning again. I went back and watched it. It was crazy.
The crowd storms the field with 1 second left, and they're trying to get everybody off the field. Arizona State's coach is losing his mind over there because he's like, there's no way there's 1 second left. No, there is 1 second left. And then for them to get the pass down to the 2-yard line, I was like, what a disaster this would be if they get this ball in the end zone here. They win this game after storming the field, tearing down goalposts and all that. How great would that have been if BYU pulled that off after all that? They may have rioted at that point.
It would have. I was kind of low key hoping for it. Just like let's just flip this upside down. Let them get it in. But
yeah,
they did. It was hilarious.
I have no dog in the fight, but I'm with you. I was hoping for chaos, even more chaos as it was right there. But that was just a wild scene right there, and it was crazy. But man, that was probably one of the games of the week last week for sure.
Yeah.
And so we're here Black Friday, and we'll get started. We got Black Friday games all day today, and then we got Saturday games all day tomorrow. So we'll start off today at high noon on Fox. The Oregon State Beavers travel to Boise to face the number 11 Boise State Broncos. Boise is an 18.5-point favorite. The over-under is 57.5. Joey, if Oregon State wins this, they are bowl eligible. If Boise State wins this, they have a shot to get a bye in the college football playoff. Who you got in this one?
I got Boise State, man. I don't think Jenny's gonna let it happen. He's one of the front runners for the Heisman. A lot of people's got opinions on the Heisman. Travis Hunter. I get it, but I don't see Ashton Jeanty letting down in this one. If anything, I think he's going to have one of his better games he's had the past few weeks, just because he's like, we're going to make a statement. We're going to go ahead. We're going to end this now. Put it all to bed and be done with it. Give me Boise State. I think they'll cover that, and give me the under in this one. I'm gonna go with the under.
Yeah, so man, I'm agreeing with you here. I don't think Oregon State's going to be bowl eligible this time. They need that one win. I don't think it's going to happen. Boise State, like I said, they're fighting for a college football, maybe even a bye. I think that they'll win this game here. I don't think that they cover. Last week they kind of struggled a little bit at Wyoming. Wyoming is a 2-win team, and they just beat them before. And I say that they struggled, and they did. But our guy Ashton Genty, 169 yards rushing on 19 carries. He only had one
Wow.
touchdown. So, I mean, what a down game for old Ashton Genty there last week. But I think that they bounced back, from his game last week. I think that they win this game. I don't think they cover. I'm not taking a cover, and I don't think they hit the over. I think the under hits here. But at some point, we're talking about the Heisman. You have to have a Heisman moment, right? Every player has to have a Heisman moment. You could think of Travis Hunter's Heisman moment there a few weeks ago when he rushed one in, struck the Heisman pose, some of his other receiving touchdowns. Genty had a great game against Oregon, but that was the first game of the year. Maybe he needs to come up with a huge game this week, over 200 some yards, maybe 3 touchdowns to have his Heisman moment. I could see him doing it. Do I think he does? I don't know. I don't know if he will or not, but I think that they win this game because I think that they're the better team. And like I said, they don't cover and the under hits. So give me Boise State. The next 12 o'clock matchup, and speaking of Heisman hopefuls, Oklahoma State, the Cowboys, they don't have a Heisman hopeful. Let me go on that. They've lost like 8 in a row. They travel to Boulder to face the number 25 Colorado Buffaloes. Colorado, 16-point favorite. The over-under is 66.5. Joey, Colorado coming off a loss last week. They're still in contention for the Big 12. What do you think about this?
I think it's a must-win for Colorado. I think they have to win this game, and they have to get some help with some losses. But uh, like you said, Heisman moment. Travis Hunter, he's had several moments this year where he's impressive all around. But I can see maybe him coming out making a statement game right here, going for over maybe 100, 125 yards receiving, couple touchdowns maybe. You know, like you said, him and Genty both got their moment right here on Black Friday to absolutely make a statement. But I think Colorado wins. Uh, I think they win by a couple of touchdowns. So I guess if they're favored by 16, I guess, give me Oklahoma State to cover, but I still think Colorado's going to win by a couple touchdowns. And I'm going to say give me the over. I'm going to say give me the over. I think Colorado might just come out and just offensive explosion.
Yeah, so last week, Colorado, they were cruising to, Big 12 title game. And you're like, okay, they're playing they're playing a 4-6 Kansas team. And man,
Mm-hmm.
Kansas the last couple of weeks have been top 25 killers, man. They have, they beat they didn't beat Kansas State, but they beat Iowa State, they beat BYU, and then Colorado in back to back to back weeks, and they're like the top 25 team killers, right? And it wasn't even close last week, like 37-21. Like Devin Neal, the real deal, Devin Neal, like just went off on Colorado. On the other hand, man, Oklahoma State, they were ranked at the beginning of this season. Like that team right there was ranked. Like people thought that this was going to be, a great team. And they had, Ollie Gordon coming back from last year. And man, you talk about just a complete disappointment. Colorado or Oklahoma State has been a complete disaster this year. Um, they've won, what was it, 2 games? 3 games.
Three.
They've won 3 games all year. They beat Arizona State and they beat Kansas and they've beaten Cincinnati and they've lost everybody else. I'm pretty sure they've lost 8 games in a row. And that's
Yeah,
not good. And they've got the
they haven't won a
talent.
conference game. They haven't won a conference game.
They haven't won a conference game, and that don't change today.
No.
Like you said, Travis Hunter, he's got to have, he's still hopeful for the Heisman Trophy. I think that he's going to get it. But I think that they cover this spread. Give me a cover on this spread because they're still alive for that Big 12 championship. And I think I'm going to take an under in this one. I know there's a lot of high scoring games between both these teams, but 66.5 is a lot. Give me Colorado. Give me Colorado to cover, but give me an under. And I think Shadur and Travis Hunter have a big game to try to boost Colorado into that Big 12 championship game. We'll see how it goes. The next matchup, 3:30 on ABC. It's the Egg Bowl. The Mississippi State Bulldogs travel to Oxford to face the number 14 Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss is a 25.5-point favorite. The over-under 61.5. Joey, Ole Miss's playoff hopes were kind of dashed last week. This is the Egg Bowl, big rivalry game. How you feel?
Man, where do I start with Mr. Jackson Dart last week? My God. What was it? 3 interceptions in like a minute?
Yeah.
I mean, the football gods were like, okay, all right, you messed up. We're going to give you one more shot. All right, you messed up. All right, last chance. And he still threw a pick. I'm like, it was just meant to be. I mean, that was probably the most disastrous ending for a quarterback. I mean, just the look on his face, he knew it was like, man, I just destroyed our season right there. But I think he's going to have a bounce back game this time. I don't think he's going to, play. I mean, which he didn't really play that bad in that game. Just the ending of the game, he made some bad decisions. But give me Ole Miss in this one. Give me. I think Mississippi State will cover the spread. 25 points. I think Mississippi State's covering the spread. And I'm gonna say probably give me the over in this one. I'm high on the overs this week. I think there'll be some points scored in this one. So let's go.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Ole Miss here, they're going to be a little ticked off after last week. They're still hopeful that they can sneak into that playoff. I don't think there's a chance they sneak in. They're on the outside looking in. The 3 losses, I mean, 2 of the 3 that they lost was Kentucky and Florida, which neither one of them are, Florida's going to make a bowl, but Kentucky, they may finish with 4 wins. And that was, Kentucky's only conference win, Ole Miss. Mississippi State, on the other hand, they don't have a conference win. They've been bad all year. I think they come out and I think they play decent in this game. I think they cover that spread, but give me the over in this one. I think Ole Miss wins this game, and Jackson Dart gets back on track. How defeated did Lane Kiffin, for somebody who is cocky and confident as Lane Kiffin is, how defeated did he sound after last week's game? Man, he sounded like somebody went out and shot his cat or something. He was downtrodden after that game, and rightfully so. I mean, they expanded this 12-team playoff, and that was like perfect for Ole Miss to sneak in and get. And they go out and they lay a turd like that against Florida, and there they are on the outside looking in.
Yeah. What about Florida and Kansas though? Especially Kansas. What about it?
Yeah.
All they're doing is like a little pesky gnat flying around the top 25, just destroying people's seasons.
Well, Florida about put LSU away a couple of weeks ago in the SEC. Ever since they went with their freshman quarterback, like I said, they were dead in the water at the beginning of the year. Florida was, and now they got a chance to hit a bowl game. It's crazy what a turnaround it's been for Florida. I mean, they are going to a bowl game. I'm sorry, they're already bowl eligible after that win, but yeah, it's crazy. And they got Florida State coming in this week, like that rivalry game. Florida State's who they're playing. So, I mean, Florida's bowl eligible, and they're going to probably get 7 wins this year. I mean, that's a big success for Florida, who had the toughest schedule in America at the beginning of the season. So, I mean, that's crazy, man.
Yep.
And so we head to the next matchup, 7:30 tonight, the Georgia State Championship. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets travel to Athens to face the number 7 Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia is an 18-point favorite. The over-under is 50.5. Joey, big rivalry game here. Is Georgia looking ahead to the SEC championship in Texas, or are they going to be able to hang in against the rivals here and beat them like they should?
You know what, Georgia Tech. Uh, I don't sleep on them in this game. I'm not obviously I'm taking Georgia to win the game, but don't sleep on Georgia Tech. I mean, they beat Miami. They played really good against Miami. Um, Obviously they beat Carolina, which that's not really saying a whole lot, but I think that Georgia Tech's going to make this competitive. I don't think Georgia's just going to be able to walk in, especially because Georgia, they have a tendency to start slow. Carson Beck usually sometimes he'll get off the slow start the first quarter, and sometimes it spills over into the second quarter, and then midway through the second, and then the second half is usually when he picks it up and they pull away. But you know, scary because you do that too many times. Might burn you. But give me Georgia to win this. Give me the over, and give me Georgia Tech to cover.
Man, Georgia last week, we said they had a mini bye pretty much against Massachusetts. And, man, they screwed around for the first half and part of the third quarter. And Massachusetts was in that game. They finally
Yes,
pulled away in the middle of the third and the end of the fourth. But, you thought that was a game where they could just pound a team. But UMass hung in with them, oddly enough.
they did.
I don't, Carson Beck has been inconsistent all year at best. They were talking he's like a top 5 quarterback prospect beginning of the year, and I think that slipped a lot. Georgia, I believe, has slipped a little bit. I think they look a little ahead to Texas next week, and that rematch. Do they play Texas? Yeah, they play Texas.
Yeah,
They beat Texas at Texas. So I think they're looking ahead to that rematch against Texas next week in the SEC championship game. But I think that ultimately they come out, they win. Like you said, Georgia Tech's not a bad little team. The quarterback they got, Hayes King, and then Haynes, the running back, are a decent little combo back there.
hmm
Rivalry game here. Give me the dogs, though. Give me a Tech cover. And I like the under in this one. I think it's going to be an under in this game here, but I think it's going to be competitive for a little while. But Georgia ultimately wins by a couple of touchdowns. Before we head into Saturday, last night there was a top 25 matchup. Memphis upsets number 17 Tulane. Tulane were kind of thinking, man, if we can win and maybe Boise loses, we can sneak into that last playoff spot. I think those dreams are over with, but Memphis with an upset at Tulane last night on Thanksgiving. So not a good way to spend Thanksgiving if you're Tulane, I don't think.
No, no, it's not what they had planned at their Thanksgiving dinner table. Was talking about a loss, but hey, it
They
happens.
are. Yeah. Still a good season, though, for them. But
Yeah.
we head to Saturday, and we start with the noon games, and we'll go ahead and we'll jump out of the top 25 right quick, and we will hit the Governor's Cup, 12 o'clock on the SEC network. Those Dirty Birds, the Louisville Cardinals, travel to Lexington to face the Kentucky Wildcats. Louisville is a 4-point road favorite. The over-under, 49.5. Joey, what are you thinking about this one here?
I am thinking it L's down on this podcast all day long. Uh, Louisville's a good team. They're not, terrible, but I mean, look, Kentucky's got to come out with a win here. Uh, I mean, and you look at Kentucky, they can play all. They play Georgia close. They hung in there with Texas, so you know, there's no reason why that they can't come out with a win here against Louisville. So yeah, give me Kentucky to win. And what's the over under? Was it
The over-under in this one is 49.5.
49.5? Give me the under.
So this game right here, Kentucky has won 5 straight Governor's Cups, 6 out of the last 7. Kentucky leads the all-time series 19-15. Mark Stoops hates Louisville, and he gets that team fired up no matter how the season is at the end of that year to play that team and to play that team tough. Last year, Louisville had 9 wins coming into that game, 9-2, going to the ACC championship game. Like, what a great season for Louisville. And they come in and Kentucky beats them. They upset them, 38-31 in what was a highly entertaining game.
It was.
Kentucky this year, a down year for Kentucky. Louisville thought they was going to have a better year than what they did. They're 7-4 though. Good game, or a good season. Brown, the running back, I mean, he's been good all year. Ja'Cory Brooks, a really good wide receiver. Their quarterback has not been bad. That offense is, done pretty good all year for Louisville. Kentucky, on the other hand, man, it's been a struggle. It's been a grind all year long. But there's bright spots. Kentucky's starting freshman quarterback, Cutter Boley, the quarterback of the future. They're finally going to develop somebody as a freshman and not try to go out and get these portal guys. He looked good last week at Texas. You've got Jamarian Wilcox, who has been a good running back. Jason Patterson, backup running back. You got Dane Key, wide receiver. Barrion Brown. I mean, this may be those guys last year at Kentucky. They're juniors, but I've got a feeling they may hit the portal. Dane Key may go to the NFL. Deion Walker on the other side. He's a junior as well. I think it's his last game. These guys want to go out with a win. I've got a feeling. They just do. Louisville's season is going to continue after this game. Kentucky's will not. Kentucky's going back home. This is their last game of the season, and I think they pull out the win. Give me Kentucky in the upset at home. L's down all day, every day on this podcast. Give me the Cats. CATS, 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 Cats. Kentucky wins this one at Louisville and sends them to the bowl game crying. Let's go.
Let's go, son. Maybe you need to talk to Steve. You got me fired. You got me fired up, son. Put these pads on.
Run through that wall. Yeah. Let's go. Put them on. Let's play right now. Let's play right now. Man. Now we got to try to get back into the rest of these picks after that. At 12 o'clock on the big noon kickoff. Once again, Ohio State gets this big noon kickoff every week. The Michigan Wolverines, the defending national champs, travel to Columbus to face the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State's a 19.5-point favorite. The over-under's 42.5. Joey, big rivalry game here. Michigan's won like 3 in a row against Ohio State. What do you think in this one?
Man. Well, this ain't the Michigan team from last year, obviously. I think Ohio State's going to win the game. Give me Michigan to cover, though. I think just because of what this game is, what it means to both teams. I mean, you can throw records out the window. Each team wants to beat the other team. That's all it's going to be on their mind. That's all they're going to be thinking about. Yeah, give me Michigan to cover and give me the over. I think there'll be points scored in this one. But I ultimately think that Ohio State will come out on top.
Last week, Ohio State, man, they hosted Indiana. Indiana was undefeated. They were thinking, hey, look at us, look at us. Ohio State laid the smackdown on them. I mean, they absolutely pummeled them. Michigan, on the other hand, like you said, this ain't the national championship team, Michigan. You can say defending national champs for, a few more weeks, and then that's done and over with because they're not making the playoff and they're barely making a bowl game. Ohio State, on the other hand, they're number 2. I know they're not looking past this game. They're absolutely not looking past this game. But next week, they've got a little rematch against Oregon in the Big Ten Championship. But I think Ohio State comes out in this one. I think they win. I think they win comfortably. But I think Michigan will cover as well. But I think the under hits. I think Ohio State wins by about 17. You just got too much firepower on Ohio State's end, and Michigan just doesn't have anything on offense. They've got a decent defense, so I think that they'll be able to hold Ohio State for a little bit, keep it close, in this rivalry game, but ultimately Ohio State pulls away and wins. And the next 12 o'clock matchup, the Tennessee State Championship. The number 8 Tennessee Volunteers travel to Nashville to face the Vanderbilt Commodores. Tennessee is an 11-point favorite. The over-under is 48.5. Man, Joey, who you got in this one here?
Well, Vanderbilt's another one of those kind of dangerous teams when they want to be. Um,
Mhm.
you've seen flashes of them. They played LSU close. Um, I think they're going to keep it competitive with Tennessee. But ultimately, I don't think they got enough to outlast Tennessee. I got Tennessee winning this one. Uh, I think Tennessee will cover the spread. I think they'll keep it close first half. Tennessee second half pull away. They'll probably win by a couple touchdowns and give me the over. 48.5 is kind of low. Tennessee can probably score probably 30 points or better on their own in this game. Um, so yeah, I got Tennessee winning.
Man, it's weird that we sit out here right now so far and we've agreed on just about everything so far. I'd say it'll eventually change, but right now, man, I'm in agreement with you here too. I think Tennessee wins this one. Vandy's had a nice little season. They're bowl eligible. They've beaten Tennessee in the past in these games. It's not happening this year. I think Tennessee wins it, and I think Tennessee covers that spread. Give me the over in this one. And I think Dylan Sampson has a 2 to 3 touchdown game in this one. I think he has a big game. He's a sneaky kind of Heisman candidate. I mean, I would think he would. He's probably not going to get invited. He doesn't get talked about enough, but I mean, 22 touchdowns on the season is very impressive. And I think he adds to that this week with Tennessee, and Tennessee's going to be making the playoffs, man. Oh, jeez,
I know,
that
I
sucks.
know. That's hard. That's hard to say, ain't it?
It is. And now we head to, I believe we learned last week that this is the Palmetto State. So the battle for the Palmettos, 12 o'clock matchup on ESPN. Number 15 South Carolina Gamecocks travel to Clemson to face the number 12 Clemson Tigers. Clemson is a 3-point favorite. The over-under is 49.5. Joey, who do we got in the South Carolina State Championship?
Well, I think this is going to be out of the games we've talked about so far. I think this is going to be one of the more competitive, more evenly matched games to watch. Both teams have had a good year. Clemson coming off they've won what 3 in a row. They lost to Louisville. Um,
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina coming off of a win against Missouri and Wofford. Um, I think South Carolina is going to squeak this one out. Um, yeah, give me South Carolina in this one, and give me the over. I think South Carolina's going to squeak it out with a competitive game though, but I think they're going to squeak it out. Klubnik, I mean, yeah, he's had a great year, um, but I just think South Carolina's going to pull it out.
As an your team's in the ACC, mine's in the SEC. I thought for sure we were going to differ on this one. I really did. I thought that you was going to roll with Clemson in this one. I was going to roll with South Carolina, but here we are again, agreeing once again. I think South Carolina's going to win this game. I mean, both teams are coming off of hard-fought matchups last week. With Clemson beating the Citadel and South Carolina handling Wofford. I mean, what a just brutal game for both teams right before this big rivalry game. Give me a break, right? But South Carolina, I mean, South Carolina has been the surprise of the SEC this year. People want to poke fun at Beamer over there for how goofy he can be at certain times, but man, he's really done it this year. I mean, he's in the running for SEC Coach of the Year, I believe. And then on the other hand, Clemson, other than the Louisville game, they were rolling since the Georgia game this year. They played really good. It's going to be a great game, I believe. But ultimately, I think South Carolina wins this one too, man. And give me a cover and give me an over in this one. Both these teams can put up points, and I think that they will here. But ultimately, I think the Gamecocks win it. And man, we're still in agreement on everything. It's crazy. The next matchup, 12 o'clock, the last 12 o'clock matchup of the week for the top 25 on the Big Ten Network. The number 23 Illinois Fighting Illini travel to Northwestern to face, or travel to Evanston, Illinois to face Northwestern Wildcats. Illinois is a 7-point favorite. The over-under is 43.5. Joey, I guess this could be the Illinois State Championship. And for people that's watching that don't understand what we're doing, when I keep saying all these state championships, earlier in the season, Oregon played Oregon State. They used to call it the Civil War, right? So I guess they're not allowed to call it the Civil War anymore for whatever reason. People getting upset, whatever. So we looked it up and we're like, okay, they've changed the name to something. What did they change the name to? So we looked it up on here and it said the Oregon State Championship. So every time there's two teams from the same state, we've been calling it the certain state championship. So that's where we're at with this. For anybody that didn't know, now you know. And if you didn't know, now you know. So, Joey, who you got in the Illinois State Championship?
I got Illinois. I think, Northwestern. I mean, they've not had a really good year. I mean, they've when they lose, they're getting handled pretty easily. Um, they did beat Purdue overtime, but Purdue's not
Purdue.
Illinois. I got Illinois winning this one. I got Illinois covering, and give me the under in this
I'm with you on this too, man. Northwestern, they played Ohio State pretty close early in that game at Wrigley Field, and it didn't last long. Ohio State pulled away. Illinois, they're top 25, but do they seem like it? No, I don't think they really seem like a top 25 team. I mean, they've won the games they've won, 8-3. I mean, they play who's on their schedule, but they don't seem like they've had a marquee win. They're not getting a marquee win here. They're getting a win, but it's not going to be against a marquee team. Give me Illinois to win and give me an under on this one too. So Illinois, I think, wins that state championship. And the next matchup, we hop back out of the top 25 and we head down to Chapel Hill, 3:30 on the ACC network. The North Carolina State Wolfpack travel to Chapel Hill to face the North Carolina Tar Heels. North Carolina is a 3-point favorite. Joey, if NC State wins, they're bowl eligible. If Carolina wins, well, they're already bowl eligible. But you got in the North Carolina State Championship. I mean, I guess we could still throw Duke in there. Maybe we have a North Carolina tournament. I don't know. But who we got in the battle of NC State and North Carolina?
Man, I'll tell you, this year for Carolina football not being the greatest. Only bright spot of Marion Hampton, obviously. He's Mr. Consistency. Been doing it all year. He's got 14 touchdowns. I mean, he's carried the team to these wins, I think. Then you got North Carolina State, who's really not had that great of a year either. I think this is going to be a pretty competitive game. But Criswell, he's impressed me. Beginning of the year, he was a little rocky, and I'm like, oh man. But he's finally settled in, figured it out. Give me the Heels. Give me the Heels. And I think they'll cover that 3-point spread, and give me the under in this one too.
So I'm with you here again, man. I think that Carolina wins this game. You go to when teams are evenly match up, you just pick whoever's the best player on the field, and Carolina's going to have the best player on the field with Omarion Hampton. You talked about NC State having kind of a down year. They went out and they got Grayson McCall, in the transfer portal, really good quarterback, and they thought that, man, they may do something this year. They thought they had decent defense and all that. And McCall ends up retiring from football middle way through the season with all the injuries he had. So definitely I don't think they saw that coming at the beginning of the year. But like I said, when it comes down to evenly matched teams, you go with the best player on the field. Give me Carolina. Hampton's the best player. I think Carolina covers. And I think that the overs is going to hit. Carolina puts up a lot of points. I think that continues this week. They want to send Mac Brown out, on a high note. I know he'll have a bowl game to coach, but give me Carolina in this one. We hop back into the top 25 for our next matchup, 3:30 on the Big Ten Network. The Maryland Terrapins travel to University Park, Pennsylvania to face the number 4 Penn State Nittany Lions. Penn State is a 25-point favorite. The over-under is 50.5. Joey, what are we thinking here?
I'm thinking it's going to be a Penn State beat down. I think Penn State will cover that 25-point spread. Maryland just, I mean, they've only won one conference game. They're not good. It's almost like a mini bye for Penn State in a way. Yeah, I think it's yeah. Give me Penn State points, everything.
So, um, is Penn State, are they playing Ohio State in this game?
No,
No.
no,
Are they playing Michigan this week?
no.
No. Yeah. Give me Penn State. I think Penn State wins. I think Penn State covers. So far, I have been perfect on this prediction. Every week I ask if Penn State has played Ohio State or Michigan, and if they do, I pick against them, and if they don't, I pick them. So they are not playing one of those teams. So give me Penn State to win this one. I think Penn State covers, and give me the over. Penn State last week, I mean, I almost lost. I almost screwed up. They almost let me down, but they end up winning by 1 against Minnesota. So it's still right, and it's going to be right after this week, too. Give me the Nittany Lions here. Like, if you just follow that advice on this podcast, you have been great all year long.
Yes.
The next 3:30 matchup, number 5 on CBS. The number 5 Notre Dame Fighting Irish travel to LA to face the USC Trojans. Notre Dame is a 7.5-point favorite. The over/under is 52.5. Joey, Notre Dame last week come out and absolutely pounded our upset pick Army last week. I mean, it wasn't even close. Poor Army. I mean, man, we were hoping they would win and sneak into the playoff. That has been dashed. But, man, Notre Dame looked pretty good last week. What do you think for this game?
I mean, man, if you look at, I mean, Notre Dame can score. I mean, man, they can absolutely put up points. You look at their last games, 31 points, 51 points, 52, 35, 49. I mean, they're absolutely just hanging points on people. And I don't think this week here is going to be any different. I think they'll hang 50 on USC easy. Give me the over in this one. Give me Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame will double that spread. I think they'll win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, so Notre Dame, man, they've had a really good season. Somehow they lost to Northern Illinois, which is still kind of a head scratcher looking back at it now because the way they played other teams this season. Like you said, they put up points. They beat teams down. Riley Leonard has been decent. I mean, he hasn't thrown the ball all over the place, but, man, he can run. They got some running backs that, are good back there. And, man, like I said last week, they just beat Army down. Like, poor Army.
Yeah.
On the other hand, USC, they started out with, they started out with a win over LSU. Things were looking good for them, getting really high on them. Miller Moss, everybody was talking about him. And, man, they're just barely going to make a bowl game. They're going to finish with 6 wins in this season. I mean, in what season? What USC was back, right? Like Lincoln Riley, he's getting USC on the right track. Maybe not. Miller Moss is going to take over for Caleb Williams, and he's going to be the next number 1 overall. No, probably not. Probably not. Give me Notre Dame in this one. I think Notre Dame wins. I think they win big, and give me the over in this one. I just think Notre Dame's got way too much, and I think that they win on the road at LA, and they roll into the playoffs. The next matchup on ESPN 3:30. The number 6 Miami Hurricanes travel to Syracuse to face the Syracuse Orange. Miami is 11-point favorite. The over-under is 67.5. Joey, my God, son, what are we going on this one?
Oh man, and to sit and hear that over sounds like a lot, but you look at the scoring these two teams have put up. I can see the over hitting in this one 100%. I mean, I'm gonna go with Miami in this one. They just got to stop getting off the they love digging themselves a hole and then coming back in the
Mhm.
second half. They got to stop doing that. Um, I'll be a little scared for them if they dig themselves too big of a hole against Syracuse because Syracuse can score points. Um, they better come out and punch Syracuse in the mouth, and they better not just, like a cat playing with its food. They better not play around because they can lose this game. It would not be a shock
Mhm.
to me if they lost the game. But yeah,
Yeah.
give me Miami in this one. Give me Syracuse to cover, and give me the over.
Man, it's like we're on the same wavelength here. I mean, every game we have predicted has been the same as far as money lines, over under. I mean, over under we've differentiated on, but
Yeah,
the spreads, man, we've Syracuse, like Kyle McCord has had a great season at Syracuse. Like from what he was
yep,
last year at Ohio State to what he is at Syracuse this year, I mean, totally different quarterback. Like he has played great. He has been good. He has been really good. He's got Syracuse at 8-3. Like, who would ever thought Syracuse football be, sitting right there at this point in time, having a chance to knock off a number 6 Miami team who has struggled a little bit the last few weeks. Like you said, they've got off to some slow starts. Cam Ward fumbled away the football and the Heisman a couple of weeks ago, so I think he's pretty much dropped down in that ratings. I mean, he still had a great year. He was a Heisman favorite for a long time. Both these teams put up a lot of points. I think Miami wins this game, though. I think they continue their momentum into the ACC championship game. I think that they win, but I think Syracuse covers. I'm with you here. I think this is a close one. I think this could be about a field goal game, maybe. It's going to be whoever's got the ball last, I believe, that wins this game. And give me the over in this one because there's going to be a lot of points scored, and the defense is going to be stayed at home, I think. So, yeah, I'm in agreement with you again on this, Joey.
yeah.
And then,
And I was just gonna let everybody know real quick if you see me going in and out, I don't know what's going on with my connection or whatever, but if you see me go out because I got it pulled up on my phone, go out, come back in. I apologize, but yeah, we're good. Just want to let everybody know.
yeah, but yeah, we'll continue on, and
Yep.
hopefully Joey will hang with us. But if he doesn't, I'll sit here and yap for a little bit and get everybody going. I can fill some time. Uh, so 3:30, the next 3:30 matchup on ESPN2, the California Golden Bears travel to Dallas to face the number 9 SMU Mustangs. SMU is a 13.5 point favorite. The over/under is 55.5. Joey, SMU is looking forward to their first ACC championship game next week. Who you got in this one?
I got SMU winning this one. Um, Cal's not had, I mean, they're not terrible, but they're as what I call one of the mediocre teams that, SMU just needs to come out, handle business, don't overlook this team, don't look ahead to the ACC championship, handle your business right now. And I think they'll be just fine. Uh, Give me SMU to cover. And I'm going to say give me the over in this one too. Both teams can score.
Yeah, I said SMU's looking forward to playing Miami next week, which I guess that's not been decided yet. Miami, I guess, still has to win tomorrow. Uh,
Yeah.
and SMU, I think, maybe has to win too because Clemson is also 7-1. I'm not sure how the tiebreaker works in that one. But like you said, California's not had a bad year. I mean, they're making a bowl their first year in the ACC. They got 2 wins in the conference, but I think they beat Auburn earlier in the year. But I think that in this one here, give me SMU. I think they win. Give me a California cover. I think California will cover. It's a 13.5 point spread. Now, I think SMU is a really good team. I think that, they'll put up a lot of points. I think the over will hit, but I think California will kind of keep it a little close here. But give me the Mustangs to win and a California cover. And then we head to what looks like this could be a decent game right here. The Iron Bowl at 3:30 on ABC. The Auburn Tigers, War Eagle, 5-6, travel to Tuscaloosa to face the number 13 Alabama Roll Tide. Alabama is an 11.5 point favorite. The over/under is 52.5. Joey, you can say this has been a disappointing year for both of these teams, and they probably didn't expect it to be like this in the Iron Bowl. But what are you thinking in this Iron Bowl right here, Joey? The Iron Bowl's always got a good, seems like it's a good game. So what do you think here?
It is. I mean, like you said, it's one of them where it doesn't matter what the record is. Neither one of these teams want to lose to each other, they don't want to lose this game. Uh, that being said, Alabama has, man, that loss last week, Oklahoma, that done it right there. That the castle come crumbling down. Uh, I, this game's going to be competitive, and I think give me an Auburn cover, give me an Alabama win only because Alabama's at home, and I think Alabama will have the crowd behind them. I think they'll squeak out a win, but give me an Auburn cover in this one, and give me the over.
What a weird season for Alabama this year. You have Jalen Milrow coming back. You have a stud freshman wide receiver at Ryan Williams, who's 17. Um, you have a new coach coming in who come off a national championship game appearance last year in Kalen DeBoer. Your legend, Nick Saban, retired. And you go and you beat Georgia. Like, whoa, hey, what a game that was. And then you
Yeah.
go and you lose to Vanderbilt.
Mm.
And then you lose last week to Oklahoma and you don't even score a touchdown. Like Milrow had like 12 yards rushing or whatever it was, and they couldn't even muster up a touchdown last week at Oklahoma. Like, what a weird season. Then you got Auburn on the other hand. If they win this game, they're bowl eligible. Uh, Jarquez Hunter has been coming on strong pretty much since the Kentucky game. So, I mean, yeah, of
Yeah.
course, he wants to play his best game in Kentucky, but that really turns around their season. Last week, they beat Texas A&M in overtime, 43-41. And what was, a good game. Uh, Auburn has really been playing well. Alabama hasn't. But this is the Iron Bowl, and I can't go against the Tide in this one at home. Um, I think it's going to be a good game. Give me Alabama to win. Give me an Auburn cover, and give me an over in this one. I think Alabama's going to actually score some touchdowns this week, but I've got Bama in the Iron Bowl.
They better.
And then we head to, yeah, they better. They better. And then we head to the next 3:30 matchup. The number 16 Arizona State Sun Devils travel to Tucson. That's easy for me to say. To face the Arizona Wildcats. Arizona State is an 8.5-point favorite. The over/under is 53.5. Joey, at the beginning of the year, people were picking Arizona to win the Big 12. They're not even making a bowl game, and Arizona State may be playing in the Big 12 championship. Just a complete turnaround from what everybody thought it would be. Who you got in this one, and do you think that we have a debacle like we did last week in an Arizona State game, or is this going to be somewhat normal?
Yeah, I'm going to say this game is going to be somewhat normal. Um, uh, Man, like you said, what a down year for Arizona. I mean, they had so much hype on them. They had high hopes. I mean, Arizona fans were pumped. I mean, it just didn't work out for them. Yeah, give me Arizona State in this one. Um, I think Arizona State will cover. And over under, I'm gonna say give me the under. Give me the under.
So, so we mentioned it earlier. Arizona State last week with the big win over BYU. Fans go crazy. First win they've had in a while like that. I think Arizona State wins this game. I think that they cover that spread, man. Arizona, like I said, they've had a very down year. People were really high on them. That wide receiver that they got, McMillan, was supposed to be like all American, and they just haven't had it this year. I don't know if it's a new conference or what it is, but I think that this rivalry game here, I think Arizona State wins it. Give me an Arizona cover. I think they beat him by a touchdown. But give me the over in this one. Arizona State's got a really good running back, Scatabo. But yeah, give me Arizona State in this one. And then we head to a 3:30 matchup on the SEC network. The Arkansas Razorbacks travel to Columbia to face the number 21 Missouri Tigers. Missouri, a 3-point favorite. The over-under is 53.5. Joey, what do you think about this one?
Well, uh, kind of weird here. You look at Missouri. They beat Auburn, uh, lost to Alabama, beat Oklahoma, lost to South Carolina, beat Mississippi State. Um, so going by that, I mean, win loss, win loss, win loss. I mean, they set up for a loss this week. Ah, give me Missouri in this one. I can see Brady Cook coming out and having a good game. Uh, yeah, give me Missouri to cover, and yeah, give me. I'm gonna take the over in this one too.
Oh man, so Missouri, they've been up and down all year. Brady Cook is once when he plays, it seems like they win, and when he doesn't, it seems like they lose. I believe he's playing this week. But man, they've kind of had a down year too. They thought that they were going to be, they were top 10 at one point in time and then kind of got knocked back down a few pegs. But
Yeah,
Arkansas, they've had some good wins. I mean, they beat Tennessee. They're barely hanging on here to, 6 wins, barely going to be making a bowl. I'm going to roll with the road dog in this one. Give me Arkansas for an upset on the road against Missouri, and give me the under in this one. I've got Arkansas winning in an upset, so give me the Hogs. Don't worry, I'm not picking them in any basketball, but this is football. So give me the Hogs in this one.
there we go.
And then we head to the night games, the 7 o'clock games. We have the Indiana State Championship. Actually, that's not true because Notre Dame's in Indiana, and they're better than both these teams, I believe. They're definitely better than one of them. The Purdue Boilermakers, with 1 win on the season, travel to Bloomington to face the number 10 Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana is a 29-point favorite. The over-under is 56.5. Joey, what do you think on this one here?
I think it's an absolute beatdown by Indiana. Purdue does not stand a chance in my book in this game whatsoever. I know the matchup predictors give them a 2.4% chance to win, but I think that's even. Um, I think yeah, give me Indiana to cover, give me the over. I mean, I think if Indiana don't pull anybody, they can put up 56.5 points themselves in this game. So
Indiana last week got humbled at Ohio State.
yes, they
They
did.
really did. But they still, I mean, they feasted on these weak teams. Purdue's a weak team. Indiana, like you said, they can put up a bunch of points. I think that they're going to put up a bunch of points. I think that they're going to be mad after last week. I don't care if this is a rivalry game. Purdue has 1 win. They're not getting two. They're not getting close. Indiana rolls in this one. I think that they cover the big spread, and I think that the over hits in this one. Give me the Hoosiers in this one to bounce back and to keep their playoff hopes alive. And I think that they beat them, but I think that they cover too. I was going to say I think Purdue covers, but no, I think Indiana covers because they're going to be mad after last week. So yeah, give me Indiana. Then we head to 7:30 matchup on NBC. The Washington Huskies travel to Eugene to face the number 1 Oregon Ducks. Oregon's an 18.5-point favorite. The over/under is 50.5. Joey, last year these two teams had a couple of incredible games. This year's probably going to be a little bit different. Different conference, different players, different coach for Washington at least. What do you think here, Joey, on this matchup?
I think that Oregon is undefeated and number one for a reason. Um, I think they stay undefeated. I think that they are going to win this game. Um, I'm going to say Oregon's going to cover the spread. I do. Like you said, it's a different Washington team, different players, different everything. Washington's kind of had a mediocre year. Um, I mean, Indiana beat them 31-17, and I think Oregon's way better than Indiana. So, uh, yeah, yeah, give me Oregon in this one, Oregon to cover, and give me the over.
So Oregon, I mean, they're number one. Like I said, they're number one for a reason. Are they looking ahead next week to that rematch with Ohio State? Possibly. Washington has had a down year, of course. I mean, they were in the national championship game last year. It's funny, both teams that was in the national championship game last year have a record of 6-5 right now.
Yeah,
But they're, I think Washington can keep this close. I think that they can play them pretty tight. I think Oregon ultimately wins, but I like Washington to cover, and I like the over in this one. But I think Oregon's they're going to come out a little sloppy because they're going to be kind of looking ahead to next week at Ohio State again in that rematch. But I think that Oregon ends up winning this game, though. But a Washington cover. And
I
now
see it.
we head to 7:30 on ABC. The number 3 Texas Longhorns travel to College Station to face the number 20 Texas A&M Aggies. Texas is a 5.5 point favorite. The over/under is 49.5. Man, these two teams have not played since 2011. They're firing up the heated rivalry once again. Joey, I guess we could say this is the Texas State Championship, maybe. Who you got in this one here?
I think that this game is, like I said, I think Texas A&M can definitely hang in there with Texas. Uh, do not get me wrong at all. Um, I'm gonna say, give me Texas to win the game. Give me the Aggies to cover. I think this one's gonna go. This one's gonna be one of the better games I think of the day, the night to watch. Um, I think it's gonna be a close game. But yeah, give me Texas to win, Aggies to cover. Give me the over. Queen yours. Don't need a backup. He's gonna win.
So Texas next week, they're playing in the SEC championship against Georgia. They're looking forward to that game. Texas A&M coming off of a disappointing loss last week, to say the least, at Auburn in overtime. Texas A&M, they've had a few disappointing losses this year. Uh, they lost to Auburn, they lost to Notre Dame. I think that in this one here, I think Texas is going to be looking ahead to the SEC championship, and I've got another upset going here at home.
Oh no.
Texas A&M in this rivalry game. They have not played each other since 2011. The last time they did, Justin Tucker kicked a field goal at the end for Texas to beat Texas A&M. 13 years later, Texas A&M gets their revenge against their in-state rivals. Give me the Aggies in this one.
Ooh.
Of course they're covering because they're underdog. And give me an over in this one, and I think it's going to be a late field goal at the end by Texas A&M to pull off a huge upset a week ahead of the SEC championship game. Oh man,
Ooh.
here we go.
Oh boy.
And so with that, we go to the next 7:30 matchup on Fox. The number 24 Kansas State Wildcats travel to Ames, Iowa to face the number 18 Iowa State Cyclones. Iowa State's a 2.5 point favorite. The over/under is 51.5. Joey, what are we thinking here?
Oh man, this game here is gonna be it's gonna be a competitive game. Kansas State, not a bad team. I mean, they beat Kansas, and Iowa State lost to Kansas. Um, so how ironic. But I'm thinking, give me Johnson, give me Kansas State. I think Kansas State's going to come in, and I think they're this was my upset pick I had circled. Um, yeah, give me Kansas State in this one. Give me the over. I think Kansas State comes in. Giddens, Brown. I think they're going to get it done.
Yeah, so Kansas State, they've kind of had a good season. Start with, they played really good. They you know, beat teams, quite a bit this year. Then they lost, a few here recently. Like you said, they beat Kansas though, and was a close game. On the other hand, Iowa State, man, they had a good year, and then they lost a few weeks ago. Who was that beat them? They lost to somebody. Their first loss of the season. Oh yeah, it was Kansas. But I think that they come back in this one. And I think that Iowa State wins this game. Top 25 matchup. It don't really seem like a top 25 matchup, but Iowa State still got an outside shot, very outside shot of making the college football playoff. They win this one, they're still in contention for the Big 12 championship game next week. But I think Iowa State wins this one, and give me the under in this one. So, yeah, I got the Cyclones. The next matchup, the Nevada Wolfpack travel to number 22, UNLV Running Rebels. UNLV is a 17.5-point favorite. The over-under is 55.5. Joey, what do you think about this one?
I think this one, Nevada's just not good. They're terrible. They've gotten beat down. Minus a couple of games, they've kind of kept it close. They kept it close with Boise State, surprisingly. But yeah, give me UNLV in this one. I think UNLV will cover that spread, and I think the over is going to hit in this one too.
Yeah, UNLV, they could put up a lot of points. Last game they played, they beat San Jose State, which they didn't really put up a whole lot. But they got a nice little running back there, Jaden Thomas. Quarterback, Haj Malik Williams. He's a dual threat. And then the best player on the team, Ricky White III. I think that they'll get it all going here this week, and I think that they'll beat Nevada. And I think they cover that spread. And give me the over in this one. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. UNLV has a fun style to play, and I think this is the Nevada State Championship right here. I guess we could technically call that. And then we head to the last matchup of the week at 10:15 on ESPN. The Houston Cougars travel to Provo, Utah to face the number 19 BYU Cougars. BYU is a 13-point favorite. The over-under is 41.5. Joey, BYU coming off of a heartbreaking loss last week, wild loss. You think they bounce back this week against Houston?
I do. Both teams have lost to Kansas, so just saying Kansas like that little gnat flying around the top 25, just seeing who they can aggravate and make mad. But yeah, I think BYU will bounce back in this game. I think that they'll win the game. I think they'll cover because Houston's not that great. But yeah, give me BYU, give me the over, and give me BYU to cover.
Yeah, I think BYU bounces back this week. I think that they cover the spread, and I think give me the over on this one too. Retzlaff has not been, that bad of a quarterback. I mean, he almost led him to a win last week. Then you got Lassiter out there. You got Roberts. Then, they like to pass the ball around a little bit. Houston, they've kind of had a year, 4-7. 3-5 in the Big 12, but BYU also one of those teams that's fighting for that Big 12 championship game, and I think that they win it here. And BYU for everything. So give me the Cougars, and that will do it for our picks for the week. Week 14, the final week of the regular season. Next week when we hop on here, it'll be conference championship week. Which should be interesting. We don't know who's going to be playing in the Big 12 championship, at least. We know who's in the Big 10. We know who's in the SEC. ACC still up for grabs. You know what I would like to see? I would like to see a Pac-12 championship game. There's two teams in the Pac-12. We might as well just have a championship. Washington State, Oregon State, because why not, right?
Why not? I mean, it makes sense. Why not?
Yeah, two teams. I mean, it should be automatic bids to the championship game right there. But it'll be really interesting, man. It'll be conference championships next week, and whether they're in top 25 or not, we'll pick all the championship games. Joey, and then we'll start. I mean, we'll have some bowl games after that, and me and you will transition into full-time, full-blown college basketball mode. Kentucky plays tonight. They play Georgia State, the Panthers, at Rupp Arena.
Yeah.
Tune up for next week. They get into the real stuff next week. They're on the road at Clemson, and then they're on the road at Gonzaga next week. So the last little tune up for Kentucky before they travel. North Carolina this past week, they were in the Maui tournament. Joey, yeah, I know, I had to bring it up. What were your thoughts
Yeah.
on Carolina's performance at the Maui this past week?
Well, my thought about it is that we got freshmen on the bench, um, and they carried the load uh, against Michigan State. RJ Davis is having a weird year. I mean, he's not the RJ Davis that we seen last year. Um, Carolina disappointed me a little bit in the Maui. Mainly what disappointed me is how they played against Michigan State. Um, Michigan State's struggled all year, struggled to shoot the ball all year, um, and then Carolina just couldn't come up with a win. I mean, the loss to Auburn. Obviously, I wanted to win the game, but Auburn's ranked number 4 in the country, and Auburn's legit. Auburn is legit. They are a legit team. They are going to be tough. Um, and then obviously we lost to Kansas. So, the Michigan State loss kind of stung a little bit, but the other 2 losses I could kind of handle. Um, but hey, got Alabama coming up on the 4th. So,
yeah. The
we'll see.
ACC SEC Challenge next week.
Yep.
Carolina's got Alabama. Kentucky's got Clemson. It should be good matchups. Really, really going to get a feel of how, we kind of got, like you said, RJ Davis had a weird year. He's not been a superstar like he has been in the past. We'll see if he can pick it up in the next few weeks. Kentucky, they've played Duke. They're really going to get tested on the road here next couple games. So we'll see where they're at after that. But yeah, it's going to be ramped up. We're going to be talking about it more on this podcast for sure. At least Carolina didn't go to Maui and pull a UConn. That's all I can say. So, one team
That was disaster. That
went
was
to Maui
disaster.
and went 0-3, and that was the 2-time defending national champ. So, yeah.
Yeah, and just to touch on
Does
that just for a second, I'm telling you, man, that coach, he's oh my God, man. If you're if
you
I'm a
said it.
UConn fan, I'm embarrassed the way he acted in that tournament. I am embarrassed if I'm a UConn fan.
You know what? You just now came up with a great nickname. I don't think you even tried to, but I'm gonna put 2 and 2 together. You said it was a disaster, so I mean, disaster Danny Hurley out there for Connecticut, and that's exactly what that was. And he looked like a absolute maniac, especially Monday night, and then Tuesday. I mean, he done the same thing. And then, man, to get blown out by Dayton on that last game, you talk about like a team just, whoa, in some shambles right now. It's the UConn Huskies.
They are going to have to change some things. Dan Hurley's going to have to come down to earth a little bit. Just because you're back-to-back national champions don't mean that you know you're going to get every single call in a game. And in that game Monday night, he started on the referees within the first 3 minutes of the game. I mean, it wasn't like it was late games. It was all game long. Just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And I read his lips what he said to the referee there at the end. And I've said to myself, if he don't get teed up for that, then I don't even know what we're doing in college basketball. But yeah, and he lost the game. It cost him 4 free throws. That cost him the game.
Yeah, and it'll be curious to see where they head from here. They were number 2 in the nation. We'll see if they drop completely out of the top 25. I mean, it's going to be a free fall for sure after the showing that they had in Maui. But yeah,
Yep.
man.
Yep.
So that'll do it for this week's episode of the Pick'ems here. We're going to hop off here now and get to watching the games, which has already gotten underway. And we'll see you all next week for the conference championships. And some college basketball talk is going to start ramping up. And we're going to, like I said, transition to that for long. But we'll see you all next week. Later.
Later.